Hey friends, it's Jen. Welcome to this episode where we're talking about silence. And I'm just going to tell you up front, I'm stepping on some toes today. And I know this because I'm stepping on my own toes first. We're talking about the healing power of silence because there is a freedom that comes when we can stop defending, explaining, or proving ourselves. Being misunderstood is a fear that I am constantly having to reject in my life because when I focus so much on being thought of rightly, being understood well for my good intentions, because I do try really hard, I throw myself into these spirals that are not peace giving and are not from the Lord and work against the freedom that God offers me and that He offers you. I'm still talking about Richard Foster's Celebration of Discipline because I did not grow up thinking that the disciplines were created as delights for us, but that's actually what God created them to be. They're ways that we can position our hearts and our minds and our bodies and our souls to receive blessings from the Lord, to take an easier, unhurried, grace-filled way, empowered by His Spirit. Foster says silence is one of the deepest disciplines of the Spirit, simply because it puts the stopper on all self-justification. One of the fruits of silence is the freedom to let God be our justifier. We don't need to straighten others out. And he talks about how normally we put ourselves in these constant processes of adjusting our public image. We fear so deeply what we think other people see in us that we'll talk in order to straighten out their understanding. If I have done something wrong, he says, or even something right that I think you may misunderstand and discover that you know about it, I'll be very tempted to help you understand my action. Now, I feel very seen by this problem because I do the same thing. And in Foster's book, he tells the story of a medieval monk who is being unjustly accused of certain offenses. And he says the story tells that one day he looked out his window and saw a dog biting and tearing into a rug that had been hung out to dry. As he watched, the Lord spoke to him, saying, "That is what is happening to your reputation. But if you will trust me, I will care for you, reputation and all." Perhaps more than anything else, Foster says, silence brings us to believe that God can care for us, reputation and all. Now, that's a word that I often need, and I'm guessing at least some of you need too. God cares for you, all of you, and that includes your reputation. And so if you feel like you're being misunderstood or you are being judged, ask God what to do with that. Ask Him to guide your steps and ask Him to show you how He is your defender. And trust the instruction He gives you, even as He cares for you and your reputation. I have many of my own excruciating experiences of navigating circumstances like this myself and coming out the other side. I have been able to see some of the many ways I know God has protected and defended my reputation in ways I couldn't possibly have done on my own. I want to read a little bit for us from Exodus 14. And this is when the Israelites are escaping Egypt and they arrive at the Red Sea and they panic because the Egyptians are chasing them. And it says in Exodus 14, verse 10, they cried out to the Lord, and continuing, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave? Didn't we tell you this would happen?" And Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today." In verse 14, the Lord Himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. But in the midst of this, Moses didn't defend himself. When the people were crying out because they were afraid of being overtaken, Moses said, "Hey, God and His reputation are trustworthy, and He can take care of this. I know that the enemy is coming against you, but the Lord Himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." This reminds me of a few other verses. In Lamentations 3:26, it says, "It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord." And in Proverbs 10:19, it says, "When words are many, sin is not absent, but he who holds his tongue is wise." That word holds there means to restrain, to keep in check. It's not never speak. It's keep your tongue in check. So when you do speak, you're speaking as God would have you speak. Now, I'm stepping on toes here because it is easy to jump in to defend ourselves, especially when we're being misunderstood or wrongly accused. And I'm also talking about it here because this is a really practical way that we can walk in our faith with God, trusting His care for us in a different way. And so here's a question that you can take to Him today. God, what am I trying to justify or explain that I can surrender to you instead? Have a good talk.